Murfreesboro all the way to Belmead, an hour 55 minutes depending on traffic. It's a haul. If I have the rich part of town and a blue-collar part of town, both have car counts drop off, I have a trend in the market. But what if I'm a single-store operator and things slow down? What happens? Is it just me? What am I doing wrong? Do you call your friends? And what happens? If I call you and go, hey, how's it going, Kareem? And you go, oh, it's horrible. I go, hey, what's going on, Stephon? What's going on, Mike? And I start calling Jeff, what's going on? And everybody's like, dude, it sucks. And Mike's like, it sucks. And we all go, oh, man. Oh, good. I feel better now. Woo! We're all going broke together. It's great. And what ends up happening is we don't understand that our job is to make money in a good time and a bad time. It is your responsibility to figure out how to make that dime off that dollar. So if we look at this and we understand how we make our money, that $100,000, there's a different part of our P&L that we need to keep track of. This comes from your business summary. And that is your ARO and your car count. We'll do it like that. So if you take these two, along with this, can you just about figure out any of your buddies' shops and help them fix it? Couldn't you? Right? But do we ever do that? In fact, it's so good you should probably print your P&L and staple your business summary to it, just so when you put it in the file box, and like do this with paper, when you cut trees down and you actually have to make this white stuff. Put it in a file box and save it. So 5 years from now, when we're looking at a spreadsheet and we're going, how come blah, blah, blah happened? We go to our desk, like as an owner, you need to have an owner desk, and you need to have like if you're a small shop, do not pay your bills from your service writer desk. You have a desk to do shop stuff, and then you have an owner desk or an accounting desk, as I like to call it. If you have multiple stores, then you would have an accounting desk for those stores, and then you'd have an owner desk for you. Literally, mentally, you need to separate this. It's two different parts of the brain. What ends up happening is you sit down and you're running this store, and you're looking at your numbers, and you start adding it all up, and you go, oh my gosh. And you start to see stuff. And you go, the same April, 4 years ago, we did blah, 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 and we've always gone downhill. I don't get it. You go back, you open it up, and you remember that $34,000 BMW job, and you go, oh, that's why that April was so big. It's not that I've been sucking for the last 4 years every April. I forgot about that. If you have a spreadsheet in Excel, you can right-click and insert what? Comments. You can say, 34K BMW job, blah, blah, blah. But what if you had one tech quit, another tech come in, and all the payroll, because you pay weekly, overlaps? What happens to my payroll that month? It goes up. It doesn't look accurate. Even bi-monthly, it goes up if you have two employees overlap. So this is the crazy part of this. This $100,000 came from a bunch of cars. I know it's crazy, but it came from a bunch of cars. And they added up to $100,000. So at the base, I need to get, I'll come back to this one in a second, I need to get a bunch of cars to add up, if you think about this, plus my ARO, to a revenue number that allows me to outrun my expenses. People say, Aaron, why do you not like the book Profit First? I love that guy, and I like that book, that concept. Pumpkin Plan's much better. The problem with Profit First, if you've heard it, is instead of saying, sorry, I don't know what just happened. Instead of saying that I'm going to have revenue minus expenses equals profit, this guy does it different. He says revenue minus profit, was it Michael McCallick, whatever, can't even say it, equals expenses. So here's the problem with this concept. And I really like this guy, but I'm going to explain the problem to this. If I want to run my model on this to try to grow my company, and I'm going to try to remove it and say, I got to make 20 grand a month, and I'm going to have a $100,000 a month, and I go take my 20 grand out, like 5 grand a week, right? I'm taking that money out, and I put that into my profit account. Well, I just taught you guys yesterday, my expenses now are being held, but one day I say, you know what? I want to grow and be $140,000 a month. I can't raise my expenses. My profit is blocked off. I can't touch that money. And the issue is people say, well, I could go take less of the profit maybe, and I could go do it. That all sounds great in a perfect world, but that's not a perfect world because we don't do 25 grand a week. One week it's 32, one week it's this. Well, you're not going to do percentages. What if the percentages don't outrun your expenses that week? Everybody here has to understand that when I look at your business, I could immediately get on the phone with you and I could go bop, 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 and give you answers. And I can just skip all the profit, all the expenses, because I can tell you what would allow you to go from a shop that's doing 100K to 100, and we'll add 50 to it, to 150K. And I can literally help you leapfrog those steps. I've done it with a ton of you in the room. I've gotten on the phone with multiple people in this room, and I've said, do this, do this, do this, do this, don't ask me any questions, and this is what you'll get. And if you listen to me and you do it, it works. Why? Just because I'm the guy on the outside. You could do the same to me. You could walk into my shop. Bill could walk into my shop and go, Aaron, this could do so much more. Just do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. All of you could do it to each other. But what's the deal? Well, we're all friends. Stefan doesn't want to hurt your feelings, Kareem. You don't want to go all the way. Dude, you suck. But you're not paying me to be your friend. You're paying me to get in your face. My job is just to create the environment and make it so all you guys connect so you understand. So if we go back to this, $100,000 a month, what I like to teach is $15,000 for my techs. How much do I want for parts? $25,000 for parts. And then I'm going to have how much for overhead? I almost started to write it. That leaves me how much for my net? That's it. That's it. That's it. You're figuring it out. But here's the crazy part. Does it ever actually land at that? It's always just like, isn't it, Joe? Just 0.1 off. I wanted that 20%. 19.7. Then when you go and tell your friends, how much did you make? I made 20%. You know, I'm kind of lying. I'm rounding up. The issue with this is a goal. What about in March? Do I falsely make myself feel good about myself because I have 31 days and I had a great tail, and that month I had 23 business days? I love the tail on the butt of the dog because then it's like the first is on a Monday, full week, full week, full week, full week, and then a 3-day week. And I can push those guys really hard, but what I like even better is I like March to start on a Tuesday. I like to have a 4-day week, 3 5-day weeks, and then another 4-day. You know why? Because I can make a 4-day feel like a 5-day. Every freaking time I can pull that off. My biggest months have been on those. And guys will call me up and go, I don't know what happened. My car count was up. My average RO was up. Is this, 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 this? And then you go dive into it, and what do you find out? Their car count was the exact same as it always is. They had 3 more days. But then they stretch those 3 more days even more because when you have a 4-day, you push your staff on that Thursday like crazy, and you just go, go, go. And that Friday may be dead for the next month, but we don't talk about that. We just talk about what we got done in those 4 days. And you end up having this massive month, and we run around, we're high-fiving. We're like, dude, I'm awesome. I'm incredible. I'm playing on my phone. I'm awesome. I'm incredible. I'm incredible. I'm awesome. And then you end up running around telling everybody how great you are, then the next month you suck, and you really were never that awesome, and you were really never that bad. Because it's the average. He's like, I was doing business stuff, Aaron. Businessman's got to do business deals. You got to do my business stuff. So, if you think about it, a P&L is made up of percentages. Can a P&L have 110%? No, because everything in the P&L is based on 100. So if 100% is my total, that means all these numbers can move up and down. So if you think about it, if I want a goal of a 20% net, I'm in a very poor neighborhood, do I have to reconstruct my categories to get that 20%? If I was in a wealthy neighborhood, would I have to reconstruct my categories to get that 20%? Why is that? Because in a wealthy neighborhood, I might have to pay 16 grand a month rent. In a poor neighborhood, I can pay 2,500 a month rent, right? I don't care how I get there. So let's say that we had to pay our technicians in a poor part of the country, not 15%. Let's say we had to pay on 100% or 100K a month. I'll put dollars next to this. It's $100,000 a month. Let's say we had to pay $20,000 a month for our technicians. Paying out. Do parts cost the same in Birmingham, Alabama as they do in LA? Technically they do. Your parts house might charge more, but the base price is the same. They may have higher rent, and they may try to get you for more money, but nationally across the country, if that part's shipped in, you're paying the same price. Now, your salesman, because of what you buy, will change your matrix for you, but it's not going to be the same for everybody. So here's the kicker in this whole thing. This is where the magic happens, if you can follow me. There's $20,000 for your labor is more than you should have to pay. Then you've got $25,000 for parts. Let's pretend our parts is normal. Now, what do we have for cost of goods? What's this total over here? $45K for these two. So now how much does this leave down here for us? All right, so since we've got 55 here, we want that 55 grand to still leave us 20. So if we go down here and say we got to get 20 for our net, what does that mean our overhead has to be? 35. So where can I put pressure on my overhead? How can I lower my overhead? What are the things I can do to squash that? I'm in a poor market. Okay. Increased car count. What? Cheaper labor. Okay, but I'm in overhead. So labor, parts are not in overhead. What else? Advertising, rent. Anything else? No, I'm talking, it doesn't matter. In the overhead section. What do you pay in overhead? You pay everything out of overhead but parts, but labor. And let me just clarify. Let's hit a little pause for a second. This is how I believe a P&L should be done. You may believe differently. I want parts to include all sublet, all shop supplies, everything. I want my tech labor to include only their paychecks and vacation. No benefits. Why do I say no benefits? Could my benefits be different from Stefan's? Could his be different from yours? Could yours be different from his? And what happens when we all start to base our benefits off of everybody else, then we find out, crap, none of our numbers are comparable. So I don't include that here, ever. People are like, how do you get technicians down to 15%? Well, if you're loaded, that's why. I don't do the loaded because the loaded is not a number that I can actually track. Some tiny little shop down the street is willing to pay your guy $38 an hour. We're dealing with this right now. Why? Because they have no benefits, so they're willing to pay what? More money. And their shop is slower, so they have to pay more per hour. But your shop is busier, so you have to convince the employee that I have more work. Remember that thing on that business summary we talked about? Car count. So my parts is all my paychecks and vacation. Then I come down here to my overhead section. And on overhead, that is everything else. Everything. Even my GS labor is down here if they do not work on cars. If your GS labor actually works on cars and you run a heavy tire shop or something, they're touching the product, they need to be in that section. And then what's left is the net, and I want that always at 20%. It's always my goal. Now, if you go have multiple stores, you may have to give up some of that 20% to pay somebody like a managing partner like I'm doing right now. But if I add their bonus in, you should be at 20 or better, and that's what we're at. So I want everybody to see, if I was to look at this number right here and say to myself, all right, my overhead maybe is at 40%. You okay? Oh, thank you. I still got... Is it my... How would I word this? Is it right for me to go to a guy who's got a 55% GP and say to him, dude, you've only got a 55% GP. You could make a 25% net. What are you doing? You're only making 20. And I don't even know his market. I don't even know what he's fighting. I think the biggest difference and the thing that people appreciate most about our coaching is that it is not one size fits all. I am willing to tell you your town is different than the next town. I will not tell you that your town is different than the next town when it comes to marketing. The same marketing works everywhere. Poor, rich, cheap, small. It's just different angles.